Hello, my name is Kelly Bluen. I am a certified Zentangle teacher. Welcome to episode 7 of my Coastal Calm series. In this series, I am showing you a variety of beautiful tangles or patterns that all represent ocean themes. So today I've got my little sketchbook we can practice in. I have a micron pen, a pencil, and I'm using a Q-tip as a blending tool. And then I have a 2.5 by 2.5 inch piece of watercolor paper. It takes the pen really well, plus when you're finished, if you want to add watercolor, you can. Okay, we're doing 2 tangles today. They are both very just kind of relaxing and easy, and I love both of them. So I thought it'd be fun to put them together. The first one is seaweed, and the second one is caviar. So let's put that into our sketchbook. Episode 7. Seaweed. By Ing Frash. I feel like I always pronounce names wrong. And then Caviar, Lori Howe. Okay. All right. Let's start with seaweed. So seaweed, I feel like, is one of those that you could use in different compositions. You could use it as a background. It would be a great filler. It's just really pretty and elegant. Okay, so all we need to do is make a wavy line. And then another wavy line, any direction. And then we can cross some of these lines. Just imagine seaweed and how it crisses and crosses each other. It's a bunch of kind of S shapes forwards and backwards. And then wherever they cross each other at each little intersection, you're going to add a thickening, like a little U shape. See if I can zoom in on that. And then down here on this side, just a tiny bit. And I love that elegant little detail. So just take a moment to go through. You're either going to give it a little U shape this way or a U shape this way. And I like to kind of come down and back up and ink it in. Versus if I just try to go like this, it doesn't look as elegant, I guess. So I try to come down and back up, if that makes sense. I'm doing it so tiny. But I'm going to kind of come down and up. And then the opposite that way. And little details like this, you can really get lost in that calm feeling of just adding little bits and pieces. Okay, you don't have to do all of them since this is our practice page. But now we're going to take maybe that first curve here and we're going to add some little dots to it. So I'm going to add a dot, and then I'm going to add a bigger one and then a smaller one. And I'm going to pick another spot and do a little dot, a big dot, and a little dot. I can pick another line and do that same thing. Little dot, big dot, little dot. Kind of like the tangle bead lines, if you've ever done that one. Let me do another one. Another thing that she adds is a little dot and then a circle and then a dot. Dot, circle, dot. Can do that on a couple different ones. She also does a couple more things that I'm not going to include in my piece today, but she does some with little leaves. So it's a curve on this side, a curve on this side, and those little V shapes. It's still part of her Seaweed Zentangle, but I'm not going to use it just because it doesn't really have that ocean feeling, but I still want you to know it's so pretty. Another one she does is almost like little feathers, so it's a little V, bigger, 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 smaller, smaller, smaller. Small, big, 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 smaller, smaller, smaller. That adds some texture as well, but again, I think I'm going to just do these two for my seaweed. And the last thing she does is on some of them, she goes up, gives this little curl down, and a tiny elongated loop, like a little raindrop or teardrop. So if you want to add that, you can. Okay, caviar. Caviar is such a great tangle. It's just a great embellishment to add to your pieces. So caviar is a circle, or I guess mine is kind of an oval. And then you do an inside aura. And then you put a little oval somewhere else inside that circle. So we've got 1, 2, 3 circles. And then that middle circle we're going to ink in. And that's called caviar. And then you can do some more and kind of have them bump into each other. Change their sizes if you want. Okay, let's go to our little paper tile. Seaweed caviar, here we go. All right, I'm doing the frame still on mine. Yours, you can make the seaweed go from the top to the bottom. You don't need to have a frame, but since I have it on the first few episodes, I'm going to continue it. So I'm going to put a dot in each of my 4 corners, and I'm going to connect those dots. I'm doing this with my pencil. And I think I want to start with caviar. So I'm going to start over here in the corner, and you can make it as large or as small as you want. But if you go tiny, like I always think I want to take up space, right? Don't be afraid to fill your tile. So if you make it too little, you're just going to spend hours making all these little caviars. So don't be afraid to make it at least as big as the end of your pen. Inside aura, and then a little reflection. Ink that in. I do another one. I'm going to purposely go larger. Oh, I forgot to do my circle. My inside circle, and then my reflection. And that middle circle, that second one that you made, that's what you color in. And do some more. I'm going to do one away from that one, just so they don't all line up like behind. I'm going to put a couple in the foreground and then some in the background. And enjoy that time where you're just coloring in. You don't have to think about the next line you're making. You don't need to think about the composition of the piece. You're just enjoying a moment of putting ink to paper. All right, putting a circle in the background is not always easy, but try your best. Try not to forget that inside circle. See how I added the ones in the foreground and then went back and put that one in? I really like that. I'm going to do one over here. I'm going to make this one really big, just because, why not? I've been snorkeling a few times, but I've never gone scuba diving, and I just can't imagine how amazing it must be to be on the ocean floor and see all of these little creatures and all of these things coming up from the ground, growing, seeing fish eggs and seaweed and all kinds of creatures. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to leave a little space here just for fun. And then I'm going to put ink over my border, and I'm just going to have my seaweed stay inside of this border. Okay, so I'm going to purposely make these S shapes go kind of wide so that I get more crisscrossing. I don't want a whole bunch of just stripes. So I'm going to start one over here and give it a nice big curve. And I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do like a backwards one. Just start putting those little lines in there. Okay, I did a whole bunch of them. And now I'm just going to start picking spots to do small dot, big dot, small dot. And these don't have to be super dainty, like it's okay to make them a little bit big. I'm going to go back and add my little intersections, I think, at the end. Just because I'm like in the mood to add these details right now. Little dot, big dot, little dot. And like right here where it bumps into another one, I can just keep going, or I can just throw in a dot of any size. It doesn't matter. There's no rules. And then I'm going to do some with the little dot and the circle and the dot. And if you come up with another idea, please do it. Okay, now I think I'm going to go do my little intersections before it gets too busy. Okay, and you do not have to do every intersection if you don't want to. It's just a fun little embellishment that is not going to make or break your tile. But look at how that looks compared to the other ones. It's just so magical. Just very relaxing. If you have a spot that you're not sure what to do because maybe more than one crisscross there, do what you want. I got this spot right here. I just put in a couple of them, and I guess I could do more, but it doesn't matter. I always know that I like a tangle when it's something that I can just repeat over and over again and not feel stressed. If I'm trying to create a specific thing, that can be stressful. But when it's just this, it just feels so good. I think I did pretty good. Now I've got these where they just sort of end at caviar. So what if I give those like a little triangle going up, sort of cementing them down into those shapes? See what I'm doing? I'm kind of going up on one side and down on the other and filling it in. That's sort of fun. I could even do it at the top, like it's attaching to our frame up here. Just kind of coming out on one side, out on the other, and inking it in. All right, I've got some more lines to play with, and I'm just gonna stick with these little dots and the little circles for my seaweed, but you can do whatever you'd like. If you've got a little spot that needs something, add a circle. If you want to add some of those little curves that come up and give that little teardrop shape, you can do that. I feel like you could also nestle some little circles, like some little bubbles. They could be resting in between the seaweed. You could put a couple of them. They could be up here on top. All kinds of things growing in the ocean. If you want to add a little reflection to those ones, you can, so they look kind of like little bubbles maybe. Okay, I think I'm good. What a fun tile. I'm going to put my initials down here and do a little bit of shading. You might still be playing, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to go over the top of all of these little caviars. Just give it a tiny bit of graphite. I'm not going to do where they overlap each other just because there's so much ink, we don't really need it. But I'm going to go over the top, and then of course I'm going to go on the inside of my frame. And I'm going to go on the outside of these little bubbles that I added. All right, I'm going to take my Q-tip, or if you have a blending tool, that's great. And I'm just going to soften, kind of pushing that graphite into the paper, but also pulling it out a little bit from those caviar. And then on the sides of the frame, I'm going to soften it, and see how I'm just pulling it slightly into the picture. And up here, I'm going to pull it down into the picture. I'm just going to go over these little bubbles, give them a little shadow. And that is it for shading. If you would like to add some shading to your seaweed, you could pick one side of it and give it a little bit of shadow. But I kind of like how we have like all this darkness down here. Then we have this beautiful frame, and then it looks like we're looking into the ocean. Like maybe you would see more things back there, maybe the light's coming through. But if you want to take your pencil and do like a little pencil lines in the background to give it some texture, you can, or some waves, or like I said, maybe shade one side of each line, but I kind of like how it looks just like this. All right, that was Seaweed and Caviar. I hope you liked that one. We will see you tomorrow for episode 8. And if you want to watch these videos commercial free, I have the link to my Patreon down below in the description of the video. My Patreon account is $5 a month, but you get all of these videos, all of the newer videos that are coming up, commercial free. So kind of fun. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.